Welcome to the Tarrasque. As far as our opening hand goes, man, we've got a no lander on this one. Let's go and not keep on this one. Let's go and mulligan on this one. And yes, having Lana War Elves and the Priest of Titania and Nature's Lord, yes, we will definitely keep on this one. So we need to put one card on the bottom. I think at this point, everything we're going to use very quickly. So let's go and put, as much as it pains me, we could put a land and hold on to Kamal. I think at this point we'll put Kamal on the bottom. Hopefully we can always end up green sunning Zenith for Kamal if we need to. So let's go and click OK on that one. And yeah, leaving Forest and Alana War Elves, that sounds like a great plan. But yes, welcome to the Tarrasque. I'm pretty excited for some mono green fight. Well, it's not even mono green fight, it's just got a big old dinosaur as our commander. I'm excited. Let's go and lead off with Forest, and let's go in for Lana War Elves. It's going to be 1 green mana. Then anything else is going to pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, it's Carth the Lion versus Terrasque. Good luck, Carth. We're playing the Terrasque. The Terrasque has haste and ward for 10 as long as it was cast. Then whenever the Terrasque attacks, it fights up to 1 target creature. It fights target creature defending player control. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. And we'll take all the lands we can get. We'll certainly take that. Let's go for Forest. Let's go for Nature's Lore, because it's going to be 1/2. That's going to allow us to put a forest on the battlefield, and that's going to be Priest of Titania. That sounds like a good plan. Anything else is going to pass the turn to our opponent. Playing against Carth, the Lion. Whenever Carth the Lion enters the battlefield... Ooh, there we go. Let's get this popped up. Whenever Carth the Lion, I hadn't read Carth in a minute now, and I forgot it was wall of text. Whenever Carth enters the battlefield or a planeswalker you control dies, we'll actually get that in a second. And Tabernacle, destroy this creature unless they pay 1. All right, partner. So let's go ahead and we'll tap down 2 for Priest of Titania. That'll work out. That's going to be 1/2. Yes, we'll prevent that Priest of Titania. And we'll pay 1 to prevent that. Yes, we will. So we're still going to end up with Lana War Elves. Ooh, Yavimaya Cradle. So we definitely don't want to drop that down with Tabernacle out there. So let's drop in Forest. And with Green Sun Zenith, we need to find some pretty good ramp. I'm trying to figure out exactly what we end up grabbing to help us kind of get out from underneath this. We can always end up going for... We've got Courser of Crewfix, that's another option that we can go for. Tireless Tracker, we've got Provisioner, which is going to give us some extra land drops. We don't really have a ton of land drops right now. We can always end up going Green Sun Zenith for Tree Speaker. I'd like to get another elf on the battlefield. We can always end up going for Oracle of Moldiah. I think we might end up doing that. So let's go for that. Let's go Green Sun Zenith, because that's really going to help us out. Green Sun Zenith for 4. We get Oracle down, and then that way we can try to make some extra land drops. So let's get this popped out. Let's grab Oracle of Moldiah. There we go. Let's get her onto the battlefield. And it's going to be Arbor Elf on top. So, and we've got the extra land drop right now. That's going to help us out for next turn. Let's just see. Let's see if they've got a land drop. I just want to see. If they make the land drop, then we'll drop in Yavimaya. But I just don't want to drop in some sort of Urborg Yavimaya effect and still allow them to have access to mana with Tabernacle. So that's kind of the issue that we're running for. And then plus right now with Tabernacle, we've got Priest of Titania. And as long as we keep getting elves on the battlefield, all we have to do is just tap down Priest of Titania. And that'll allow us to get to the Terrasque. So we can get some good stuff moving. So, all right, so we've got the Oracle trigger. Let's go and tap down Priest of Titania. And I guess if we're going to end up going for Arbor Elf, it might be easier if we just pay 3 off of our land. So let's go and do that. And let's get this library popped over right here that we can kind of keep track of it. So let's get these triggers paid for. Okay, so we're going to draw into Arbor Elf. Let's go ahead and drop in Arbor Elf. That's going to be 1. And that's still going to give us access to 4 total mana. And I guess at this point, we'll go ahead and push in. I think we're cool with that. I mean, we've got nothing else that we can tap down for 4, but we're completely tapped down on our mana. So let's go and push in with the entire crew. That's going to be 4 coming across, drop our opponent down to 36. And then, yeah, I think we'll still end up holding on to Yavimaya. I think right now, I just really like for them to just be a land drop behind as we kind of keep going through this. So anything else is going past the turn. Now with Nylea on top of our library, that's actually going to work out really well with the Terrasque because even though Terrasque is very big and scary, it doesn't have trample. So I'm running stuff like Nylea. That really does help us out. So, and our opponent did put down a strip mine. So let's see if they've got any sort of action with that strip mine. So we know Nylea's on top of our library. Do we just want to tap down? I think we'll just tap down Priest of Titania. So yes, we'll prevent that. prevent that. And that's going to be Forest on top. Let's drop in Forest, and it's going to be Field of Ruin. Now, with Field of Ruin, that's going to allow us to finally get rid of Tabernacle. That'll still give him an extra lane on the battlefield. And we can activate that on our opponent's turn if we want to. So if we end up going for Nylea, that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that'll work out perfectly. So we drop in Nylea. Let's go ahead and push in with the crew. We're going to swing in with Oracle and I guess Arbor Elf, because either way, just having access to Lana War Elves is what we're going for. So let's go and swing in for 3. I'm going to drop our opponent down to 33. And then we'll see if they have any sort of payoff with that for next turn. Maybe some sort of board wipe. If not, we're going to end up going for Field of Ruin at their end step. That way we can untap with a ton of mana. The only... No, excuse me. The Terrasque does have haste. So we're potentially looking at a pretty good Terrasque for next turn. So we pay for Field of Ruin. And we're still going to get that basic. So that'll be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which should be just enough for Terrasque. So that should put us in a pretty good spot. So it's going to be Sword of Truth and Justice. All right. Kind of digging this. So it looks like we're going to have some sort of action. And with them having Guy's Cradle out there, we don't really have to worry about that right now. So let's go and go for Field of Ruin. Let's go and destroy Tabernacle. That's going to be 1 and 2. And that'll put another basic on the battlefield. And that'll allow us to tap down Priest of Titania. Maybe get in... I don't think we'll have enough for that extra activation. So let's go and drop in a Forest. And that's going to be untapped. And now we are free. We're free from the Tabernacle trigger. So let's get the Fierce Empath going. Let's go land drop off the top. And then now that they have another land out there, we might as well go ahead and make the Yavimaya Cradle drop. So now let's go ahead and go for Tarrasque. And I guess we'll just tap down Lana War Elves, because that still gives us access to Nylea. Going for that activated ability. So let's get Tarrasque down. That's going to be at least 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's going to tap down for 4, then we can still end up pumping. Yeah, let's go and go for that. So we're going to pump up Tarrasque even some more. It's going to make it 12. At least that'll end up making it to where, and if you heard that bark, that was Sturgill. He was getting very excited about us swinging in. So let's go ahead and push in. That's going to be Oracle, Arbor Elf, and Nylea. Oh yeah, look at this. There we go. Look at that. Attack turbo board. Yes, indeed. All right, so we're swinging in. That's going to be a pretty big chunk of damage. It's going to be 18. That's going to be 21. There we go. Look at that. It's going to drop down to 12, and that will be 12 total commander damage. So at least with us going for that Nylea pump, that's going to give us access to threatening commander damage for next turn. So we'll see. We'll see what else. But yes, we did cover both commanders. Give a quick shout out to our sponsors, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that'll apply my affiliate link. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders, Inc. Gaming. And last but not least, I started a Patreon, but our opponent's going to scoop it up. So we'll take it. Look at that. So we're able to get past Tabernacle. Not a super crazy showing from our opponent, but when you run a lot of situational lands and you're running a ramp deck and you go Lana War Elves and a Priest of Titania, it allows you to get past that Tabernacle and then still to get down a really big threat. So anyways, I'll catch you in the next game. All right, bye. Welcome to the Terrasque. As far as our opening hand goes, we've got 2 colorless lands. Yeah, not super wild about this one. Let's go and mulligan on this one. I want to have some sort of early impact. Now, if we do draw into a green source... We're good on this one, and we are on the play. I think we ship this one back. Yeah, I mean, if we just don't hit a green source, we're in a really bad spot. So let's go and keep on this one. We do need to put 2 cards on the bottom. Let's go and put a Return of the Wild Speaker on the bottom. And actually, right now, we'll just put Fierce Empath on the bottom, because we've got Nature's Lore into Harmonize, which is better than wishing and hoping that we draw into a green source off of that last hand. So let's go and lead off with Forest, and then anything else, let's go and pass the turn over to our opponent. We're playing the Tarrasque, Legendary Dinosaur. Get back here, buddy. Can't hide yet. The Terrasque has haste and ward for 10 as long as it was cast. Then, whenever the Terrasque attacks, it fights target creature defending player control. So it's going to lead off with Forest. Let's go for Nature's Lore. It's going to be 1-2. Grab ourselves that Forest in particular, and then anything else. Pass the turn over to our opponent. Playing against Karador, Ghost Chieftain, which is fun. I hadn't played against Karador in a long time. This spell costs 1 less to cast for each creature card in your graveyard. Then, during each of your turns, you may cast a creature spell from your graveyard. So we did cover both commanders. Let's get this Forest down. Let's go for Harmonize and see what sort of fun stuff we can draw into. Make up for that mulligan and just see if we can't maybe just go Tarrasque beat sticks. Why not? Let's see. All right, so we'll get the forest down for the turn. We do draw into Wasteland. With Wasteland, we might end up using it with us having a lower mulligan. Typically, I'm not trying to pop our opponent's land just to slow them down, but if the game dictates it, like that's what we need to do, and we might end up having to do that. So anything else is going to pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, Wasteland, typically, if you see Wasteland in my deck list and you watch these videos and you don't see me aggressively use Wasteland to cut our opponent off of color mana or anything like that, you know, I still treat these games like I'd be playing a buddy of mine. You know, we're just here to get down 2 wrestling superstars and our commanders and have some fun. So if we need to end up using Wasteland, we can, but that's typically just not my play style. We usually want to save it for something that's a little bit, you know, like Guy's Cradle, something that we do need to have some land removal for. You know, that's typically the name of the game. So let's go and lead off with Forest. Yeah, I think that'll work out. Yeah, so we end up going Forest. And, ooh, actually, we should have set that up with Tireless Tracker to get that clue token. Yeah, because we go Tireless Tracker, and then we go Tribe Elder. Yeah, a little bit of it. Well, we can actually end up using Tribe Elder as a way to kind of maybe shuffle up Miri's Guile if we're not digging that. Yeah, let's give that a shot. So let's get Tribe Elder down. It's going to be 1-2. And let's go for Miri's Guile. And that'll still keep us open on Return to Nature. And then at the very least, we can go Tireless Tracker and Wasteland for next turn. So anything else is going to pass the turn to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. Let's give a quick shout out to our sponsor, TCG Player. If you go to bit.ly/JoltMTG, that's going to apply my affiliate link. That'll allow you to get some cards and help support the channel at the same time. So if you use that link, much obliged. I certainly appreciate it. Also, if you... sorry, there's... it's been raining a lot. Actually, we'll get this done. We'll talk about that here in a second. Our opponent's going to go for Archon of Justice. Let's give a quick shout out to MTGOTraders, Inc. Gaming, and last but not least, I started a Patreon. So if you'd like to directly support cool content like this, there's a link down in the description below. But if you're keeping score at home, it is officially free time. But yes, it's been raining. I live here in Texas. It's rained a lot this past month, and there's been a lot of flies, and a fly just flew into my coffee, and... like, fell into the coffee and was just like, oh, what's this? And so now I'm just not super thrilled to be drinking it now. So that's what that little pause was. But anyway, if you have your scorecard flying the drink, you can put it on there. Let's go for Miri's Guile. Yes, we'll definitely use that ability. And that is going to be Beast Within, Forest, and Lana War Elves, which is nice. We've got the land drop. I think we'll put those on top. Yeah, we'll just put those on top in any order. And let's go for the Tribe Elder Crack. Let's go and get a Forest onto the battlefield. We don't get to use it, you know, if we'd set this up for next turn, but we wanted to just kind of get a shuffle effect on Miri's Guile. All right, so we run into another Forest. Now let's drop in Tireless Tracker first. Then, yeah, I think we'll still drop in Forest. Why not? That's fine. We'll still keep us up on Return to Nature. So there we go. We're going to get the clue token. We'll be able to crack that for next turn if we want to maybe double up on Miri's Guile or something like that. But anything else is going to pass the turn over to our opponent. But yes, it is free time. And free time, it is the Terrasque. And this deck is not necessarily, you know, with this commander, with Terrasque, you know, you don't really have to build around it a lot. It's just kind of like, or at least the way I built this deck, you could definitely take the Terrasque in more of like a fight style deck, different things like that. Mono green can definitely set you up for a lot of fight style elements. But sometimes you just have a commander that's just inherently so good on its own that, all right, so we're going to see Shriekmaw come down. And with Return to Nature, we're probably going to hold on to this until something is very dire. Because with Return to Nature, we're going to be able to exile a card from a graveyard. And so that's going to be pretty important for us to stop any sort of Spore Frog, anything like that we don't really want to play against. So we're still going to hold on to Return to Nature. But yeah, as far as this deck goes, it's just mono green, get the elves out, get some good value pieces going. It's going to be 1-2 on the card draw, and we draw into another Forest. And so let's get this Miri's Guile trigger going. So yes, we will definitely use this ability, and this is going to be Gilded Lotus and Explosive Vegetation. So we're sitting at 7, 8, so that's going to put us 1 away from actually going for Tarrasque. So let's go for Gilded Lotus, Forest, and we'll put Explosive Vegetation on top. And let's go for Explosive Vegetation. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. And let's get double Forest onto the battlefield. So it's going to put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we can actually end up going Wasteland. I think we might end up doing that just to keep Karador off the battlefield because they're sitting at 5. I don't know if it'll make that much of a difference. So let's go Wasteland. And let's just pop the Triome real quick. Let's just try to slow the roll a little bit, and then maybe that'll buy us a little bit of extra time to go for Tarrasque for next turn. So anything else past the turn. So we've got Mirri's Guile coming down next turn. We're going to have a fresh Mirri's Guile off of that return to Explosive Vegetation. And we've got Tarrasque coming down. We've got a 3, 2, 4, 7. That's going to be 8. So at least we're going to be able to swing in with Tarrasque and get something moving. So, and with them having Hexproof, hey, it's okay. We can deal with that. So, and another good thing is that exile target permanent with Ward 10. I can't remember if Ward counts towards abilities too. I think it does, so we'll double check. But either way, Mucho Gusto Mi Lama. I do want to point their name out. I enjoy that. So we're going to use Mirri's Guile, and it's going to be Yavimaya Hollow, Thran Dynamo, and Beast Whisper. So let's go for this. Let's put Thran Dynamo on top. Let's put Yavimaya Hollow. We'll put Beast Whisper on top. So we're going to draw into Beast Whisper, and we'll make the land drop for the turn. Let's just go and get Tarrasque going. We've got more than enough mana to pay for it. And I think we'll still end up having enough mana for Return to Nature, which will end up working out. So, all right, so let's drop in Forest. Would be nice to set up a Beast Whisperer line of play, cast Tarrasque, but we've got some stuff that we need to do. So let's go 1, 2, 3. Paying the iron price on this one, getting the ramp out there. Let's go and swing in for a 10-10. And then we'll double check Ward here in just a second. So let's go and swing in, and we're going to be able to fight one creature. Yeah, that'll work out, because we're going to get rid of Saheeli. I think that's Saheeli, right? Yeah, Shylai. And then swinging in for 10, that's going to drop our opponent down to 30. And that'll be 10 total commander damage. I like that. All right, anything else? Yeah, so we're sitting at 1. We got Beast Whisper. Yeah, anything else will go and pass the turn. But yeah, so let's take a... they've been releasing so many cards recently that A, it's hard to keep up, and B, it's also hard just to kind of remember what everything is. So let's see if we can't find Ward just to double check. Yeah, so whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless they pay 2. So even with Archon out there, if they do try to get rid of the Terrasque, we're going to have that fight ability, so we can actually even fight Archon if we want to, and that'll force them to exile Mirri's Guile or something like that. So at least we'll be able to stop that exile trigger with the Terrasque out there, and they kind of get that moving. But yeah, with Terrasque, if you don't know, Terrasque is the Godzilla of Dungeons and Dragons. It is like the ultimate end boss. It is a completely wild Dungeons and Dragons character. If you've just kind of somewhat looked into Dungeons and Dragons, you're not a heavy Dungeons and Dragons player, but maybe you do know the rules of it, just look at the Tarrasque whenever you get a chance. It is a wild commander. All right, so we got Force of Vigor, which we're not super wild about. We do want to make the land drop, so let's go for... But I guess it wouldn't hurt to have it. Let's do this. Let's go Force of Vigor, Thran Dynamo, and then Yavimaya Hollow. So there we go. All right, so we'll get down Thran Dynamo. Or excuse me, we'll drop in Yavimaya Hollow. So let's go and push in first. That's going to be a 10-10. We'll see if they want to end up block. The only downside is Tarrasque does not have trample, which is a little bit of a bummer. So let's go and push in. Let's go ahead and fight Archon, because once we get rid of Archon, I mean, there's not much else they're going to be able to do about this one. So we're going to fight Archon. That does give them the exile permanent if they want to, but if they want to hit Mirri's Guile, go for it. If they want to hit one of our forests, go for it too. So we'll see what they end up choosing with this Archon trigger. All right, so they're going to get rid of Yavimaya Hollow, and just in response, we'll just regenerate Terrasque in case somehow they can do something. Who knows? All right, so they're going to exile Yavimaya Hollow, and this is going to be a 10-10 coming down. And with Archon, I think what we may end up doing with Archon is exiling that, because if we get any other threats out there, or maybe we get rid of Voice of Plenty... Because also, we want to try to keep Karador off the battlefield, because Karador is going to get a reduced cost of 1, 2, so that's going to make it 3, 4, 5, 6. But if we do end up doing that... Yeah, let's see. All right, so they're going to end up blocking with Wood Elves. They can recast it whenever it dies. They can exile target permanent. That's going to keep a lot of stuff away. With Voice of Plenty, that'll get rid of the fight ability from Terrasque, and it'll just be kind of like rinse and repeat. with that. But once we get rid of Archon, we don't have to worry about them getting rid of our stuff. So let's do this. So let's go exile target card from a graveyard. Let's just go and get rid of Voice of Plenty, because if we're going to try to just keep right click attack all with Tarrasque and start fighting their creatures, with them having hexproof, they're just always going to be able to do that. This is going to force us to always fight Voice of Plenty, and they can potentially stabilize because we don't have trample right now. So let's go and drop in Beast Whisperer. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass turn over to our opponent. But yes, but with the Terrasque, actually, we're going to talk about a little D&D stuff, because the core part of this deck is just mono green value. You know, we're getting our elves out, we're ramping. We've got Crater Hoof in here. We've got Avenger of Zendikar. This is mono green value deck. I'm just going to go for Vampire Hex Mage just to remove the counters from a non-existent land, just to pump up that Karador or Ghost Chieftain, I guess. I don't know. But yes, let's take a quick look at Tarrasque from a D&D standpoint. That way you can kind of see what's going on. So it's got Armor Class 25, which is pretty gnarly right there. Hit points are 676. I haven't played a lot of D&D. I've only played Curse of Strahd as a full campaign. I've done some one-shots in between there, but I do know that 676 hit points, that's a lot of hit points right there. And the cool thing about Tarrasque is that it's it's just almost impossible to kill. I mean, it's just this beast that is just like, oh, exile all creatures. Okay, that's a little bit of a bummer on that one. That'll be Shriek Maw, Beast Whisperer. Yeah, we'll turn Tarrasque back to the command zone, and we'll get a count on what our lands are. Maybe we can get in. We'll see. All right, so we got Mirri's Guile. We'll go back to D&D stats here in just a second. That's going to be Oracle of Moldiah. That's going to be Force of Vigor. We're sitting at 10, and Tarrasque does cost 8. So we're going to have Tarrasque come screaming down. So I guess at this point right now, just so we can get some sort of movement next turn, would be Oracle. So let's put Thran Dynamo, Force of Vigor, and then Oracle on top. And we're going to get in for some commander damage. Just go for it. No, excuse me, that's going to be 9. So we're looking at 11. So we're only sitting at 10. So let's go Oracle. That's going to be 1, 2, 3. That'll be Force of Vigor on top, and then anything else past the turn to our opponent. But yeah, so they have Legendary Resistance, 3 of them. So it can save a failing throw. It can just choose to succeed instead. It's got multi-attack. It's got Bite. It's got Claw. It's got Horns. It's got Tail. Those are all just different kind of physical style attacks. And if I do use like non-traditional D&D terminology, like I said, D&D is just something that I look at in passing, basically. And so, but yeah, it's a pretty gnarly creature. So we know that Thran Dynamo, and let's get this pot. Yes, we'll definitely use that ability. And that's going to be Recovery. I think that still counts as a land on top. That should, with Oracle. I'm not entirely sure. So let's set it up this way, because that is an artifact creature. So let's go for Thran Dynamo. Let's go for Recovery, and then Force of Vigor, because at the very least, we're going to get rid of Esper Sentinel on this one. So let's go to our draw step, go to our main phase, and yes, we can play this as a force, which is, yes, definitely what we want to do. Okay, there we go. Comes into play. Let's go ahead and go for Esper Sentinel. Just click OK. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And it's just sitting at a 1/1. So yes, we'll pay the 1 to prevent that. It's going to get rid of Esper Sentinel, and then we've got an Oracle just sitting at a 2. So anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. So hopefully we can chain together a few more lands for next turn, or at least with Mirri's Guile, it'll allow us to kind of set us up. But we just don't want to allow our opponent to get back into it with Esper Sentinel. You know, if they want to spend their turn with Karador going for that, they certainly can. But hopefully we can get Tarrasque down next turn. Really start pushing in. All right, so opponent's going to get down Aura Shards. We'll see what sort of creatures coming out of the graveyard. They've got some pretty good options. It's going to be Wood Elves, okay? And one of the downsides to Terrasque is that Terrasque just doesn't have Trample, so you need to run some sort of Trample-style effect in here. We do have Nylea in here, which is going to give other creatures you control Trample, and we also do have Primal Surge, I think. Let me see. I'm not, I think. I know it's in it's Primal Rage. There we go. No, Primal Surge is, and I guess you could build a Primal Surge deck with Terrasque if you wanted to. That would be pretty wild. But we have Primal Rage in here, which is an enchantment that gives all of our creatures trample, which really does help us out. So, all right, so we got a 3/4. Let's see if our opponent decides to swing in with Karador, because that does help us out, because we can fight when Tarrasque comes down, and that allows us to get in for a little bit of extra damage. All right, so it's going to drop us down to 17. At this point, we're looking for some lands to kind of shuffle away. Oh, excuse me, Mary's Guile's gone. So let's just go and play Scavenger Grounds. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, and actually, let's go and pop this before they... Yes, we want to do that. It's going to be 1-2. And then we'll sacrifice a desert. Yes. It's going to exile all cards. There we go. All right, so now we're just looking at Karador and Wood Elves. Let's drop in Thran Dynamo. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. And then that's still going to put us at 8 for the turn, which is still just not enough. But that Thran Dynamo is going to allow us to power it out for next turn. So let's go and push in. Actually, we'll hold off. That way they don't get the free Wood Elves cast. Yeah, I mean, we could swing in for a 1-1, but if we're trying to get anything done, it's going to be commander damage. So we'll just go and hold off. And that'll just give them an extra land for next turn. So we'll see what they can do. But yes, that was a really good draw with the Desert Exile, because now we get rid of all those problematic cards out of the graveyard. And we can start threatening our opponent with the Tarrasque. Get that moving. But yeah, so all of those are different attacks that it can do. It also has Frightful Presence. So they can basically, Frightful Presence, or they're frightened for 1 minute. And basically, it's just, I love that ability, you know, just being so powerful that you just scare this high-level character. All right, so it's going to be Aura Shards onto Thran Dynamo. And they have no creature cards in the graveyard. So we've got Howl of the Night Pack on top. That might allow us to, because with Sheoldred, we're going to have to start sacrificing a creature. Now, if we get Howl of the Night Pack out there, there's going to be a lot of forest out. There's going to be a lot of creatures out there. And Sheoldred is just going to just chew through that Terrasque on the battlefield. So yeah, I think we just end up doing that. So let's go and sacrifice Oracle. We're going to send Oracle to the graveyard. Run into Howl of the Night Pack. Let's go and get that down. That way we get... make sure this is not... Yeah, it's just a regular land. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then this will allow us next turn to push in pretty heavy with Howl of the Night Pack. And also swing it with Terrasque, because we are looking at enough mana. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to have just enough to get Terrasque down next turn and have all of our wolf tokens come. We're going to have the fight ability with Terrasque, which is sitting at a 10-10. So we'll see if we ended up using that or not. And we'll see what they have to showcase for the turn. All right, it's going to be Demonic Tutor, which is... might be Damnation. We'll see if they want to hit the reset button. I would against a bunch of wolves like that. But yeah, outside of the deck, you know, really don't have anything super crazy with Terrasque. You know, you can see we've just got mono green good stuff. Howl of the Night Pack's one of my favorite mono green cards. If you're ramping, and then you run into it late game, that 7 mana is really not that hard to get an entire board state of wolf tokens. And that really allows you to set up, you know, especially in a, you know, our opponent's probably digging for a board wipe right now. But if you are building a mono green deck with Howl of the Night Pack, it's such a good card that, you know, let's say you have Craterhoof in your opening hand, you're trying to build up your Craterhoof board state, they hit the reset button with the board wipe, it's late game, you've been ramping, you just drop in Howl of the Night Pack, following turn, drop in Craterhoof, boom, instant board state, you're ready to go. So if you're looking for a fun mono green card to include, I would definitely toss in Howl of the Night Pack. I mean, you could put it in other decks, but mainly something that is just ramping, because you just get to the point where you ramp so heavy that you just need some sort of high impact payoff card, and getting this down, it's always a lot of fun. All right, so we're going to see Greater Good come down. It's going to be sacrifice creature, draw cards, and that's going to allow them to start discarding cards. Is that correct? Then discard 3 cards. So that's going to put them online for Karador. The only thing is they can't really cast anything this turn. So we'll see how they decide to play this out. We've got a 1-1, 3-4, and a 6-6. We will have to sacrifice one of them next turn, but... yeah, we've got a fight ability on Karador, and I think I kind of like that, because that's going to be a 3-4, which is not going to be that much. So let's go ahead and sacrifice a wolf token. There we go. We'll sacrifice this one up front. Sorry, buddy. And we'll see what we draw into for the turn. And yeah, we're at turn 13 right now. That's going to be Sky Shroud Claim. So we're just going to just slam down Terrasque right now. Yeah, I like that. So let's get to our main phase. Let's drop in Terrasque. And I think we just end up fighting Karador on this one. Well, if we end up fighting Karador, they've got a couple different lines. They can go for return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield with Sheoldred. That would force them to recast it for next turn. I think we end up fighting, because it has ward for 10. It's going to fight, and that's going to be 6, and then they double block with Karador and Wood Elves. That still puts them in a pretty rough spot, though. I think I like this. So let's go and swing it with the entire crew. Yeah, I think we still end up attacking Shieldred, because that forces them to double block Wood Elves, Karador to get rid of it, and then that's going to make them either tap out a lot of mana for Karador for next turn, but either way, yeah, I think I kind of like this. So, all right, so we're going to go and push in. All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on that one. I think what ended up happening is they forgot to go for the greater good. But since this game ran so long, I'm probably still going to end up posting it, even though there wasn't really a clear winner, because to be perfectly honest, with greater good, they're going to be able to start cycling through their deck. So it only would have been a matter of time that once they got rid of Karador, or once we got rid of Shieldred, let's say they end up sacrificing in response to that, that's going to allow them to go for Karador again. If I had to guess who's going to pull this one out, it probably would have been Karador, because with greater good, that just allows them to just completely go off and get a ton of value, and then that puts us into a spot to where we're just trying to get a Crater Hoof on that. So really, game could have gone either way on that one, but unfortunately with my limited recording schedule, as I kind of piece together some of these games, I got to put them together. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video, hey, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.